Thanks for joining me for this edition of the Author's Corner, brought to you by KNEO 91.7 FM The Word. I'm Roberta Foster, and today I welcome Sam Eaton to Author's Corner. He has written the book, You Can Do This, Daily Affirmations to Live Recklessly Alive, which is published by Zondervan, and he'll tell you more about how to find the book at the end of the program. Here's a little bit about Sam. He is an author, speaker, and founder of the Recklessly Alive Foundation, a suicide prevention organization sprinting toward a world with 0 deaths by suicide. He has spoken at more than 250 events across the United States, sharing his story of overcoming depression and offering hope to others walking similar paths. Sam holds a master's degree in educational leadership and leads the foundation's work to equip communities to have real conversations about mental health. He is the author of Recklessly Alive and Healing Out Loud, as well as the book You Can Do This, which we'll be talking about today. Sam, thank you so much for being a part of our conversation today on Author's Corner.
Thanks so much for having me.
So we talked a little bit off air about your story. So why don't you just share with our listeners a little bit about the fact that you had to deal with temptation towards suicide?
Yeah, I had a lot of trauma growing up. I grew up with an alcoholic father who caused a lot of pain in my life. I struggled throughout my teenage years, just wondering even if I wanted to be alive, through different bullying, through different things like that. What I didn't know is what I was experiencing at the time has a name, and it's called depression. Lots of people in my family have struggled with their mental health, but nobody really ever talked about it. So it wasn't until well into my 20s that I started exploring all these different things that go into how to live a good life and how to live fully and recklessly alive. And so it's become my mission to talk about mental health and suicide, but also support all people and just helping them with the tools that they need to live the life they want to live. Excellent.
And part of the conversation is that a lot of people don't want to open up and share their emotions, especially ones that are very painful.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's I always say it's kind of two things. It's those of us that struggle need to be brave and open up to somebody. I think it helps so much to find a trusted person that you can share what you've been through and help work through those things. But also the rest of us need to be a safe person that someone can open up to and support people, really listen. At my lowest seasons of my life, the best gift you could give me is just a listening ear. You didn't need to fix anything. You didn't need to minimize anything. Just hear and sit with me in that pain. And, I think that's a lot of what Jesus did, too, is he spent a lot of time sitting with people, just listening and encouraging them. And so that's what I hope to be to other people as well.
And so at one point in time, you didn't want to talk about what was going on. So what changed for you that inspired you to write this book, You Can Do This?
Some days I still don't want to talk about the darkest and hardest seasons of my life. I keep asking God for a surfing ministry would be great, something maybe skateboarding, a little less intense. But I have seen these things work in my own life, and so as I travel and speak, a lot of people, they feel inspired, but they don't know what to do. They don't know what steps to take in their everyday life. So I wrote You Can Do This. It's a daily reader, and it's built around kind of the 7 tools that I wish someone had taught me that really helped me kind of on my comeback story, both with my mental health, but just in general. We all go through life's ups and downs, and we need to find ways to kind of move through that. So a few of those are bold action. That's day 1. Every week for 13 weeks, I tell little stories and encourage you to go after the things you want in your life. Maybe that's writing a book or a big dream that you have. But I do think that's part of living living recklessly alive and living fully alive. Some other things are self-talk, the way we talk to ourselves in our brain, either encourage ourselves or kind of beat ourselves up. Self-worth, how we view about ourselves. When I was at my lowest, I really thought that I was worthless and that my life didn't matter. And of course, I know that isn't true, but that, people say that, like they say, oh, your life matters, but they don't give you how do you work through that in yourself. So I've shared some of those things along with resilience, purpose, self-care, and connection.
Boy, the one that I know really resonates with me is just the self-talk, because we can be our worst enemy. By just downing ourselves with our thoughts or even verbalizing it out loud. And so tell us a little bit more about how you teach through your book that self-talk and how it can be helpful rather than detrimental.
Self-talk happens the second day of every week because it really is such an important part of our story. And I kind of had this moment when I hit 30 that I was like, I cannot spend the next 50 years hating myself and being my own worst enemy. I don't know what to do, but I have to do something different. And so I've picked up a lot of tips and tricks. One of my favorite ones is we don't let our brains talk in absolute phrases. So, depression or being stuck really thrives when we say, I'll never be happy. I'll never get better. I'll never get the job that I want. And we're going to interrupt that thought with either yet or but. So we're going to say, I might not be happy yet, but I'm going to do one thing today that's going to make myself feel a little bit better. I might not have that dream job yet, but I'm going to apply for one more position today or take one more class, and whatever that is. And that's just one little example, but it really does help over time shift and understand that we don't have to just accept, because so many of those voices are just automatic. It's learned, but they came from somewhere. They either came from somebody who spoke negatively to us or experiences we've had. So nobody is born hating themselves or beating themselves up. So just like those voices were learned, they can be unlearned too. But it's a process, and you need kind of those daily, weekly reminders to move through it.
Amen. Well, today I am talking with Sam Eaton regarding his book, You Can Do This, The Daily Affirmations to Live Recklessly Alive, which is published by Zondervan. And you're listening to Author's Corner, and I'm Roberta Foster. So you have been navigating your own mental health journey for many years, as you've shared with us. So what would you say to someone who is reaching out for help for the first time?
I remember it feeling just so lonely. I remember it feeling like nobody really understood just how painful it felt to be me and my brain and my body at that time. And part of that hopelessness is truly, it's physical. It's happening in your body. It might be like a chemical imbalance kind of a situation. It might be hereditary. Some of that is mental. Some of that is, either maybe you've been through some trauma that you haven't really worked through, or you've got toxic people in your life who really beat you up and help you, they don't help you be your best self. Things that are happening in your brain, the way you talk to yourself, another good example. And then that last part, there is a spiritual element to it, big questions like, why am I here? God says we were made on purpose for a purpose. Giving back. One of the best things we can do to help our mental health is to volunteer and show gratitude and, help make the world around us a better place. So I would say, there's just so much help and so much hope available around the world. And in little resources kind of like my book, there are a lot of people out there who really do want to help. And you don't have to be stuck in this much pain forever. Try to keep your brain open to new experiences, new things that might help, and then just take one little step at a time.
And what would you suggest that first little step would be for somebody?
The first week of my book, there's a challenge every week, too, to kind of push you out of your comfort zone. But the first one is, I'd say, do one thing every day to make your life better or make the world a better place. That's it. It might take 5 or 10 minutes, but you're going to do one thing every day, and you're going to take a photo of it. And I did this when I was at my lowest. I did this for over 5 months, and it helped me. I can't tell you how much it helped me. Just each day, maybe it's cleaning out one drawer, maybe it's going for a walk, it's texting one person back, it's going for, trying one new recipe. It's reminding ourselves that, life, there are good moments in life, reminding our brains and keeping evidence of that. So I'd take a photo and put them in a photo album. So every time my brain said, no, life's not getting better, no, give up, I would just look at these photos, and I had all this proof that, I can take these little tiny baby steps. The worst thing you can do when you're trying to improve your life is try to improve your entire life in this exact moment. Just focus on one little habit. Focus on one thing that helps you. Do those little things each day, and that's how you get momentum back. That's how you start feeling a little bit better. And then these things kind of spiral and become a little bit easier over time.
Unfortunately, everybody dealing with mental health issues does not have the support of parents, mentors, or grandparents. But there are many that do. So focusing on those that want to reach out and help their children or grandchildren or whatever. How do these people support the young people in their lives when it comes to mental health?
A couple really just practical things, is showing up, just continuously acting. I think one of the things that we shouldn't say is, well, I'm here if you need me. And that feels like the right thing to say. But for those of us that struggle, we're already drowning, right? We're already struggling to keep our head above water. So we actually need you to just take some action, even if it's imperfect. So that might just be showing up with a meal or sending a text, just being a consistent presence, hey, I'm not going anywhere. One thing I do with my friends and family is I have a list in my phone, a shared list of all these things that they can do when I'm struggling. So I don't have to teach them how to help. So it might be drop off my favorite meal. It might be take me to a movie. It might be send me a nice note. And so they can actually go in those and choose one of those things to help me. So something like that, having a conversation about what does help them, how can I show up in a way that makes you feel loved and cared for, and then being able to act on those things when you know that they're struggling.
Well, in our modern technology, social media, texting era, it's really easy to just send a text. Now, you've mentioned that could be a positive thing, but do you feel that something more in person is much more helpful to somebody that is struggling maybe with value, struggling with their self-worth?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there can be a lot of positives to social media and the things we're doing on our phone, but I definitely think that we need to way more index on the in-person experiences and being in the same room with people. I think, unfortunately, you get the same dopamine or the same good feelings from connecting with someone on a screen, but you're not getting the actual interaction, the way that we were created to live, which is with people and with community. You can't see their tone of voice. You can't see their emotions shift. And I think those things are really important, both for the person who needs the support and the person who doesn't. It's we need a hug. We need physical people in our lives. And it's really hard. It's really hard. And if someone listening to this is struggling, just find one place to go this week. For me, I had a therapist suggest, go try an open gym volleyball or go try a church, just go try something once a week where you can be around people if you're starting from scratch. Because I write about that. That's day 7 is about connection. Because as much as I tried to tell my brain I didn't need people, I really did. And I really needed to kind of figure out how to rebuild my relationships and people who could understand and support me in the way that I needed to feel like my best self.
We've talked about the generalities in your book, Sam, but tell us on a day-by-day basis what your writing includes.
Absolutely. So each day has kind of like a devotional, a short story from either my life or something I'm experiencing, and then it has affirmation each day. An affirmation is just a fancy way of saying, it's one of those ways we reprogram our brain. So it's just an idea of what's a phrase. If your brain is really negative, like this one on day 1 is, I can do one thing today to improve my life or make the world a better place. It's just one way we can replace those negative thoughts in our brain. And then there's a reflection. So there's 1 or 2 questions to help you kind of reflect on what we talked about that day. There's also an audiobook that goes with it. I read each day. So for those listening that maybe prefer listening, or if somebody in your life you're thinking, oh, this might be a good gift, but they don't really read, the audiobook can be a great option too.
Excellent. So today I've been talking with Sam Eaton about his book, You Can Do This, Daily Affirmations to Live Recklessly Alive. And so before you leave us, Sam, tell our listeners how they can find out more about this book, your others, and of course the audiobook you've just mentioned.
Absolutely. All 3 of my books are available on Amazon. Sam Eaton. Recklessly Alive is my first book. It tells the story of my attempt and what I learned about God and living life to the fullest. My second book is called Healing Out Loud. That one is about becoming an advocate, starting to share about my struggles and just the stigma and how hard it is to try to be a positive force in the world. And then this newest book is You Can Do This, and that is a daily reader to help encourage anybody who just feels a little stuck in their life, who just needs a friend with them each morning, sitting with them and saying, hey, whatever you're facing today, you can do this. We're going to get you through it. You're going to be okay.
All right. So one more time, the book today we've been talking about is You Can Do This, Daily Affirmations to Live Recklessly Alive. And I've been talking with Sam Eaton. We certainly thank Zondervan for providing a copy of the book for us. Sam, it's been a delight chatting with you. Thank you so much, and thank you for the work you're doing to help others to overcome their mental health difficulties.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And to our listeners, if you'd like to hear this interview again or share it with someone else, you can find it on your favorite podcast platform or go through our website, kneo.org. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Roberta Foster on the Author's Corner. Join me again next time.